19 Pros and Cons of Living in Maryland. Maryland, also known as the Old Line State, is one of the original 13 colonies and has a lot of rich history associated with it. While the state has a lot to offer, there are also downsides to living in Maryland. Learning about the pros and cons can help you determine if this is the kind of place you want to live. Pros of living in Maryland. A variety of pros exist for living in Maryland due to its position along the East Coast as well as all that it has to offer. 1. Enjoy all 4 seasons. Maryland has a lot to offer. Particularly, you'll see that the state goes through all 4 seasons: summer, fall, winter, and spring. July is the hottest month of the year, though the temperature will usually only reach the upper 80s, which is quite comfortable. There is a bit of rain throughout the year, but it is very tolerable. 2. Lots of historical landmarks. Historic landmarks are abundant throughout Maryland, and much of that is because the state was one of the original 13 colonies. You will find museums, battlegrounds, and various statues scattered throughout the state. The Washington Monument State Park and Fort McHenry National Monument are some of the top sites that you will want to explore to learn about some of the state's history. 3. Amazing food. With Maryland being located along the coast, they are known for some of its seafood. Maryland crab cakes are world-renowned, though it is not the only food that you should try. Restaurants throughout the state boast such things as crab chips, steamed crabs, and more. There are also quite a few reputable restaurants, such as Burger Cookies, which have become iconic. 4. Great employment opportunities. There are a lot of employment opportunities throughout the state. Many companies are headquartered within the state, which makes it easy for you to become employed by them. The state has one of the lower unemployment rates, which you can take advantage of as you look for a job. The state also places a lot of emphasis on providing job resources so that everyone can find a job that they not only qualify for, but also love. 5. Unique culture. The geography of Maryland places it uniquely between the North and the South. As such, you will find that there is a significant amount of culture. The state still has a lot of colonial influences that are evident. Additionally, as more people move into the state, they bring their culture with them. It is why you'll find museums, restaurants, and more that have Asian, Latino, and other demographic roots for you to enjoy. 6. Lots of beaches. There are hundreds of miles of coastline, and Maryland is right up against the Atlantic Ocean. This creates some amazing beaches that feature everything from water sports to amusement parks. Ocean City is home to several of the top beaches in the state, as well as Trimpers Amusement Park. Other beaches you will want to explore include Greenbrier State Park and Cherry Beach. 7. You're close to other cities. Maryland is positioned nicely within the northeastern part of the United States. Within a few hours, you can enjoy a number of other major cities, including Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City. This allows you to take a weekend trip to explore some of the favorite cities nearby. It allows you to enjoy more food, more culture, and more sights without having to hop onto a plane. 8. Homes come in various shapes and sizes. Thanks to the history of Maryland, many buildings are constantly evolving in terms of how they are used. In addition to traditional houses and apartments, you can find all sorts of unique properties to live in. Factories and mills have been remodeled into lofts and condos. Even stores and galleries may have studios above them, providing you with affordable housing and incredible views. 9. There are lots of festivals. The great weather year-round lends itself to a number of festivals. You will find outdoor festivals scheduled across the state. There is everything from the Moonrise Festival in August to the February Beer Festival in February. If you look hard enough, there is always a festival where you can spend some time outside and get to know another reason to fall in love with the state. 10. There are lots of sports. Maryland is home to quite a few major and minor sports franchises. Regardless of the time of year, you will be able to go and watch sports being played live. Some of the most notable teams located in Maryland include the MLB Baltimore Orioles and the NFL Baltimore Ravens. The Washington Commanders of the NFL are close by in D.C. too. Cons of living in Maryland. There are some cons to living in Maryland. Some people can deal with them and others cannot. Knowing about them can help you figure out if you can overlook the downsides to enjoy what the state has to offer. 1. The cost of living is high. Maryland is actually one of the wealthier states in the U.S. Quite a few millionaires call Maryland home, and it has been suggested that 1 out of every 12 households in the state is worth at least 7 figures. With wealth comes a high cost of living. The U.S. as a whole represents 100. Maryland is 113 on the cost of living scale, which shows that it is quite expensive to live there. 2. There's a lot of traffic congestion. Traffic congestion is inevitable when you're driving around Maryland, especially around the Baltimore area. Other parts of the state that can be overwhelming include National Harbor, which is just outside of Washington, D.C. You will also find that there are 2 toll tunnels in Maryland, which can be expensive and lead to more congestion. These include the Fort McHenry Tunnel and the Baltimore Harbor Thruway Tunnel. 3. Homelessness is a growing problem. Homelessness is a big problem throughout the state. You will find that parts of Baltimore include a large number of tents that have been set up by the homeless. It is not uncommon to see the homeless begging on street corners in some of the wealthier parts of the state. It can be overwhelming, and the state is not too focused on cleaning it up. 4. Wind is unforgiving. There is a lot of wind in Maryland, which can make it nearly unbearable sometimes. If you think the wind is strong in Chicago, you have not experienced the offshore wind that can come off the coast in Maryland. While the wind is great for generating electricity, it is not great when you're trying to drive, set up a tent, or go for a stroll along the beach. 5. Snow can be problematic. Particularly if you are not used to snow, the snow in Maryland can lead to a number of problems. The first snowfall of the winter usually happens in December and will continue through to the end of March. Depending on where you choose to call home in the state, you can look forward to up to 40 inches, which is about 12 inches more than the average in the U.S. Some snowstorms can shut the entire city down and may even leave you stranded. 6. Big cities are limited. Although you may hear about Maryland a lot, the state is not really that big. In fact, there is only one major city in the entire state, Baltimore. It is the only city with a population above 100,000. It is where the majority of the art and culture are found. If you want to do any major shopping, you will have to head to Baltimore or head to another city outside of the state. Even the capital, Annapolis, does not have a lot to offer. It is about 25 miles away from Baltimore. 7. Commutes are horrible. The commute to and from work can be difficult. While there are many opportunities, many of them exist in and around Baltimore. This means that people who want a great job will live outside of Baltimore, where the better schools are, and commute. The average commute is about 30 minutes, and that is about 5 minutes more than the average commute in the U.S. 8. Public transportation is limited. Public transportation in the state is limited. While there are local bus routes and even a metro subway that goes between Baltimore and Washington, D.C., there is not much else. Most people rely on having to use their own vehicles to get to where they want to go. Even within Baltimore, the public transportation options are not as significant as what is found in other large cities. 9. Laws are strange. Some of the laws in Maryland are strange, so you will need to get used to them. Otherwise, you could find yourself in trouble. Some of the more unusual laws include alcohol. You cannot purchase on Sundays unless you are in a bar or restaurant. Additionally, if you want something to eat at a tailgate party, you have to make sure that it is all prepackaged.